Hello everyone and welcome! In today's video, I'm back to working on this custom 1/24 scale radio controlled 39 Chevy Street Rod. In the last video, I got this project started by unboxing the model kit and getting this tiny N20 motor mounted to the frame. Today I'm picking up right where I left off by getting the rear axle assembly and drivetrain installed. This project is all about scale realism, and I was able to put together a pretty cool looking leaf spring rear suspension that looks right at home on this RC model. Of course, I've got to give you all a huge thanks for all the support and interest you showed on the last video. I really do appreciate it. You all absolutely destroyed the like goal that I had on that video, so as promised there will be a giveaway, so stay tuned for the details. As always, if you'd like to catch up with the work that I've done so far, I'll be sure to leave a link to the last video below in the description. But without further introductions, let's dive back into this project. So I've been doing some brainstorming and I've come up with a plan to add this rear axle to the model kit. I'm going to be using one of our MA10 solid axles with a set of leaf springs. All of these 3D printed parts that you see here are available on our Patreon page. Not only are leaf springs sort of period correct for the car, but they're going to be very simple to add. All I have to do is glue 4 mounts, 2 for each set of leaf springs, onto the frame, and that's it. If these 3D printed leaf springs aren't quite enough to support the weight of the vehicle, I can add a set of coil springs in between the axle and the frame. The only thing I really need to worry about is making sure the axle isn't too far forward or too far back. Obviously the wheel needs to be aligned in the wheel well. I should be able to pretty much put these mounts here for the leaf springs in the same spot that they would be if I was assembling the model kit normally. So getting everything lined up and positioned correctly shouldn't be too difficult. In addition to that, I don't want the axle to sit too close to the frame, but I also don't want it to sit too far down. I'm really not that particular about the ride height, especially in the back. If it's got a bit of rake, that's fine. If I do encounter a situation where the axle is sitting way too low, we do have this other mount here that will have the axle sitting up higher. I'd like to use the wheels and tires that were included with the plastic model kit. However, unlike using RC specific wheels, it's going to take a little bit of work to adapt these to fit. The axle shaft is going to be 2 millimeters in diameter, and this hole right here is a lot larger than that. I dug through some styrene that I had on hand, and this interior diameter is a little bit larger than what I need, so there's just a little bit of play on the axle, but it fits this hole nice and snug. What I can do then is just cut a little piece of this tube, press fit it onto this piece right here, and then I can slide it onto the 2 millimeter axle. Further down, this piece here has an opening of about 2 millimeters, so I can actually just thread it onto the axle like that, and it should hopefully stay put, but if I need to use some glue, that's fine. Getting wheels included with the plastic model kit to work on a functioning RC chassis can sometimes be a bit of a challenge, but with a bit of creativity and some problem solving, you can usually get it to work. The first step is going to be figuring out how long I need to cut this axle shaft. From there, I can assemble the MA10 rear axle assembly as normal. I've got the axle cut to the correct size. Currently we have 2 different axle housing widths that you see right here. The bottom is 57 millimeters and the top is 53 millimeters. Looks like the 57 millimeter is going to be just a bit too wide, so I'll go ahead and use this 53 millimeter, which looks like it's going to be just about perfect. Obviously, whenever you're doing your own project, pick whichever width works best for your car. You can even reference the rear axle that's included with the model kit and pick whichever is closest. I've cut the axle to the correct length and I know what size axle housing I want. The only decision left to make is choosing the gears. Anytime you build one of these MA10s, you have a choice between brass and resin gears. The brass gears are obviously a lot stronger, but much more expensive. Since this is a very low power car that'll be traveling at slower speeds, I'm just going to go ahead and save some money and go with the resin gears. The brass gears work great though if you have a car with a little more power. If you just want to make your model move and you don't care about performance, resin will get it done. But if you want to spend a bit more and get something that'll be virtually indestructible, the brass gears are a great option.
I assembled this MA10 axle as normal, except I ended up gluing the wheels included with the plastic model kit on the ends instead of using hex wheel mounts. I've already made tutorials showcasing the assembly process of an MA10, so I won't be diving into too much detail here. Overall, a very simple build process. It's just a matter of making sure that everything's lined up correctly and can rotate smoothly.
So the axle is complete, looks good, spins nice and freely. Now I just need to mount it to the frame. So far so good. I've got each one of the leaf spring mounts in place. I did have to make a few adjustments here and there, and in order to get the axle aligned properly, it's not completely symmetrical. So maybe not the cleanest installation, but it works. Everything feels solid, everything moves nice and smooth. The ride height is just about where I want it. You do have to remember that over time, these leaf springs are probably going to sag just a bit. And once I have the weight of some of the electronics and the other parts of the car, it should lower the ride height just a little bit. There was a little protrusion on each side of the frame rail in this area right here on both sides, which I just cut off just to give the axle a little bit more room to move up and down. It looks really cool having these leaf springs and it functions perfectly. Overall, very happy with this setup. Next, what I need to do is make the drive shaft, which will connect the motor to the axle. I've got 2 drive shaft ends and a 2mm steel rod. All I have to do is cut this rod to the correct length so it will fit in between these 2 sockets.
After cutting the steel rod to the correct length and gluing on the ends, the drive shaft is complete. Everything rotates smoothly and the drive shaft is at a shallow enough angle with no worries about binding. At this point, the drivetrain and rear suspension is complete and it looks pretty good if I say so myself. It's slightly annoying that the leaf springs aren't completely symmetrical, as I had to mess around a bit with the position of the mounts to get the axle lined up correctly. But sometimes some sacrifices have to be made when you're making a functional RC model rather than just a static display. The leaf springs can be finicky, but they're so simple to install and it just looks right at home on a car from this era. If you're up for a bit of a challenge, definitely give them a try. Make sure you're using a small size nozzle when 3D printing these tiny parts. Links to the STL files used will be below in the description. Hopefully the front suspension and steering proves to be as easy to add as the drivetrain was, but we'll see.
I want to thank you all for smashing that like goal that I had on the last video. As promised, I've got a number of items that I'll be giving away. I've put together a bunch of 10 scale accessories, some license plates, an intercooler, a couple of rear view mirrors, a couple of steering wheels, and 2 sets of racing seats, along with the 10th scale drag racing Christmas tree. Whether you've got a crawler, whether you've got a drift car, or whatever in 1/10 scale, hopefully you can put these items to good use. A little primer and a little paint, these are gonna look awesome. If you'd like a chance to win these items, all you have to do is leave a comment below with the hashtag giveaway, just as you see it on screen. In the next video I make featuring this project, I'll present your name at the end of that video, and you have 7 days to contact me. I, of course, will put the corresponding email below in the description. If you have more than one comment with the hashtag giveaway, your name will automatically be removed from the drawing, so make sure you only use the hashtag giveaway once. That keeps it fair, and it will make sure your name is eligible to be drawn. Very simple, everyone is welcome to enter. I will ship these items anywhere in the world. Wherever you're watching from, you're welcome to enter.
Best of luck to all of you, and be sure to stay tuned for the next update to see if you're the winner. I'd be happy to include another giveaway in the next update, but I'm raising the bar to 500 likes for this video. Can it be done? I guess we'll see. But that is going to be all for today's video. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.